So welcome everyone. Please come to sitting. Just sit up. Just don't, you can, we've got the table there in front of us. You can put your hands on your table. Let's see. Can you see my table? My hands are down here. No, you can't. Well, there are my hands. So just put your hands on the table and find out. Oh, I need to mute you all. I apologize. Just a moment. Okay, so we'll start again. So you can sit at your chair. Just notice how far back in your chair you're sitting. So some of you are sitting all the way back in the chair. You don't want to sit in the back of the chair. You want to sit just a little bit so that your pelvis is free of the back of the chair. There you go. And now pay attention to, you can take your hands and put them on your legs rather than on the table now. All right. And now, for those of you that are looking at the screen, I want you to just hear the screen. Don't worry about looking at it. I'm not going to be demonstrating anything. And if you've got glasses on, I'm going to invite you to put your glasses somewhere near you, but you don't need to have them on. And just sit comfortably in your chair and with your hands on your lap or on your legs, and slowly close your eyes if you can, if you feel comfortable to close your eyes, and allow your eyes to rest. Allow your head to rest and notice, where is your head relative to your pelvis? And you know that between your head and your pelvis is your torso, your shoulders, your ribs, your spine, your belly, your chest. Not to mention your arms are hanging also, but can you feel the relative position of your head on top of your pelvis? Do you feel like it's in front of your pelvis? Do you feel like it's behind your pelvis? So you notice where your head is. And now bring your attention to the complete opposite end of yourself. So pay attention to where your feet are. And notice how the right foot contacts the floor compared to how the left foot contacts the floor. Are they equally as clear, or is one leg clearer than the other? Are you on the inside edge of your foot on one side and the outside edge on the other? Are they both on the inside, both on the outside? Which part of your foot? Even if you're in a shoe, you can still feel which part of your foot has clear contact. Now, shift your feet if you need to, but allow your feet to be supportive. Even though we don't think about our feet much when we're sitting, are your feet in a supportive place? And now think about, where is your knee, your right knee above your right foot? Without looking, try not to look at your feet. Just let your feet be there and feel, where is your right foot relative to your knee? And then where is your left foot relative to the left knee? You're free to adjust to make it more clear. If it makes it clearer to move a little, move. And now there's a crease at your pelvis. The leg joining your pelvis, there's a fold at the front. Now, if you all, just for the experiment, if you lean back toward the back of your chair or wherever you, and now you open that fold maybe, and now come back to where you were, and now lean forward and feel how that fold gets deeper. The crease gets deeper. Does the right one feel more deeply creased, or the left side feel more deeply creased? In other words, where your leg joins your pelvis, you may be surprised that you notice one side's a little bit more closed compared to the other. And it may not be that you feel any difference. Maybe you feel the same on the right leg and the left leg connecting to the pelvis. And as you now go a little forward and a little back, you're moving your head forward and back. And now just keep it small so that you feel the movement all the way down to your hip joints. And maybe, just maybe, you even feel these two pointy bones, your sits bones, on the chair that you're sitting on. Now, if you're sitting on a cushion or a very soft chair, you may not feel it so clearly. It's okay. Just notice, no matter what you're sitting on, does one sitting bone feel clearer on the chair than the other? So you make the movements forward and back smaller and smaller and smaller until you're not really moving so much. And just notice the pressure of your sits bones, the right sits bone and the left sits bone. They are there. And right now you're doing your best to feel both of them, but maybe one of them is just not so clear to you. And now let's move. You can rest at any time, but let's move up a little bit and notice your belly. Are you pulling your belly in as you're sitting? Can you let it go? There's no one looking. Just let your belly go. And notice if that changes your breathing. Or better still, pull it in and notice what it does to your breathing. Does it feel familiar? Without knowing it, we're often holding our abdomen in a little bit. And if you let it go, if you truly let it go, it might let go in one or two little stages. And then feel the breath that moves your belly a little forward. And now travel up your spine, feel your lower back, just sense the curve. You have lumbar vertebra at the bottom of your spine. That's your lower back. Does it feel curved in, curved out? Which way is it curved? Well, let's all curve it outward by looking down. Look down, like lower your head to look down between your legs and let your lower back round and feel how successfully did it round. And then come back up. It could be that it didn't round at all. Maybe just your upper back rounded. What do you feel happens when you lower your head and you look down at the floor? How many parts of your spine do you feel are moving? And how do you breathe when you lower your head like that? And then come back up. And now what if you move your lower back the other way? So push your belly forward and lift your chest and look up. How far up do you see easily? Don't force anything, just see what's easy. Some of you make your neck move a lot by looking up with your neck a lot. But can you do this movement truly coming from rolling forward on your sits bones? And push your belly forward a little bit, the lower belly, and feel your lower back moving forward. And your chest may be lifting a little. All right, and then come back. And now find that middle place, the place where you're neither forward nor backward, where you're sitting on your sits bones and you feel them. And now, again, center yourself and feel, where are your shoulders resting on your ribs? And where is your head now relative to your spine and to your pelvis? Did anybody maybe notice that their head became a little more erect, a little more over the pelvis, a little bit more supported by your spine than maybe it was at the very beginning? Okay, and now everyone, how are you going to rest? Let's say we've scanned everything, your feet, your knees, your hips, your pelvis, your spine, your shoulders, your head. How are you going to rest when you need to rest? You're going to sit back in your chair, you're going to lie on the floor, you're going to put your head on the table. That's a nice place to rest. I've seen so many people on airplanes fall asleep with their head like that. I really can't believe they're doing it, but I can't. But do you feel rest when you put your head down on your table? Do you put your chin on your hands? Do you put one cheek on your hands? If you put one cheek on your hands, do you put the right one or the left one? Don't worry, you'll get to explore that anyway. Or maybe you don't want to do that, or some of you don't want to do that. Well, maybe your chair's too far under the table. You have to check all these things. It's all right. We're gonna adjust. You're in a chair. You can always adjust it. Okay. All right. Now come back to sitting. Again, find that nice, easy alignment that you feel is, with your hands still on your lap. Where are you situated? Your feet, your knees, your hips, your sits bones, your spine, your shoulders, your head. And now simply raise your hands and put them on the table. There we go. However you decide to put them there. What did you do with the rest of yourself when you did that? Feel what changed. You can put them on your lap and you put them on the table. Where did you do some work? Even though your hands aren't working, resting on the table, something in your back probably engaged. Probably. I don't know. Maybe something in your front engaged. All right. Now take your head and now just look down to see your hands. Don't go far. Just look. Can you see your hands? How far down do you have? Can you keep your head up and see? Can you see your hands just by looking down? Or do you have to incline your face? If you have to incline your face, you do that. And then look away from your hands. Look up the wall in front of you. And then look down again. And just feel, where is that movement happening? And notice if you can feel the very top of your neck. A small movement of your head at the top of your neck. It's like nodding. It's like saying, well, different cultures say different things with nodding, but we tend to say, yeah. Do we say yes with a nod or no with it? No, we do no when we take our head left and right, and we say yes when we go up and down. Is that right? It's different in Greek, so I'm trying to remember the English version. Okay, so up and down. Yeah. And now, well, why not try turning a little bit right, a little bit left? You always do that lying on your back, but if you keep it small, do you notice if one side's easier? Is it easier to look to the left or easier to look to the right? You'll feel one side, the muscles kind of protest a little bit, maybe, if you're like me. If you're not like me, you might have freedom both ways. All right, now, so we did up and down, and we did left and right. So where's the middle between up and down and left and right, where your head comes to rest on your spine? The first vertebra of your spine is called the atlas. It carries the weight of your skull. So notice where your neutral is right now. Again, which sitting bone are you resting on, the right or the left? Can you tell? All right, now, from where you are, simply slide your left hand a little bit forward on the table. Just slide it forward. It'll take your left shoulder forward, probably. And maybe you'll turn and look to the right as you do that. It's your left hand. You bring it forward and you bring it back. You're just sliding your hand forward until your elbow ends up on the table. Now, if you need to sit more forward, if you need to bring your chair more under the table, you can do that. But just, I would like my neighbor to lower her screen if you can a little bit, because then I could see a little more of you. That would be great. Okay, that's good. All right, so what happens when you slide your left arm forward? You could look straight ahead or you can look to the right. Can you feel how that's different? If you look straight ahead, it's like you're turning your head to the left. But if you look to the right and take your breastbone and your head together, then your left arm goes forward and your head turns to the right. Do you feel that? All right, so now take your elbow forward just till it's on the edge of the table. And now bend your left elbow and bring your left hand up so that it's just resting, fingers are resting. And now take your head forward and then bring your head into your hand. It's just your left hand. Okay, now can you let your head rest? Now I've got to not do this because I can't speak to you if I'm doing it. And if it's uncomfortable to do this with your left hand, you can start with your right hand. You can just switch the instructions if it feels better to switch. Okay? So now, with your left hand supporting your head, can you bring your right hand into a push-up position somewhere on the table? Okay, so now, with your right hand, ever so gently and lightly, push a little bit with your right hand to take your head a little further to the left, into your left hand. And feel what happens in your pelvis, if anything. What happens in your feet? Does one foot press? Which foot could lift? Okay, good. Please come out of that. So put your right hand down, lift your head away from your left hand and just sit back and get comfortable. If you need to rest back in your chair, rest back in your chair. If you need to change position. So a couple of things I noticed I'd like to bring to your attention is when your hand is supporting your face, it's kind of holding your jaw. It's holding your under the jaw a little bit. So you want to feel that support of your whole jaw. Actually, while you're sitting for a minute, if you would sit up just for a moment. You know, we did the movement of looking up and down. So look up and down and feel how the left side of your face and the right side of your face feels, even after doing that little bit. And then try looking to the left and looking to the right. And notice, did anything change already? You may sense something, you may not. But now I'm going to ask you to do a different movement. So imagine your ear. I mean, not imagine, you can put your fingers in there, but your ear, if you put your fingers roughly where your ear is, the hole of your ear, you don't have to put your fingers in them, but that's basically where your skull and your spine come together. It's just inside of that point and a little bit below it. So that's the atlanto-occipital joint. The occiput is the bottom part of your skull. The atlas is the top vertebra of your spine. So we are now going to do a little movement as if you were listening to someone with your ear and you took your head to the side. So see if you can take your head either to the right or to the left more easily. And so, okay, so I'm seeing a few, so no hands are on your head right now. So just let your hands be free. If you can have them on the table, you can have them on the table, or you can have them on in your lap. It doesn't matter. But the idea is, imagine that you're moving your head left and right as if on a line. So your head, wait, so some of you are, okay, watch me for a minute. I'm just going to demonstrate this because I think once you understand the difference, so if my face is turning, that's called rotation. If I'm doing this, I'm nodding. But if I'm doing that movement, I'm translating. My face still stays to the front. It's like I want to listen to the wall to hear, is there someone talking in the other room? It's that eavesdropping motion. Does that make sense? So your face won't turn. Your face stays to the front and you're gliding your chin and your whole skull, right and left. And I'll tell you, it's interesting because it's a small movement. And you might feel that it's easier to go to one side than it is to the other. That's it. Everyone has it now. And I'll tell you, some of you are moving all the way down in your pelvis. So it's a whole body action. And some of you are able to move a little bit in your neck. But that's okay. That's whatever you feel right now. We'll come back to this movement in a little while and see if it changes. So now come back to the table if you're far from the table and put your right hand on the table and just slide your right hand forward. Leave your left hand resting somewhere. Just slide your right hand forward till your right elbow gets to the table. And notice, did you turn at all to the left or are you just going forward? Depends on the height of the table. So everyone's a little different. What if you turn your head a little to the left and you take your breastbone to the left as you take your right arm forward and then bring it back? So you make the movement of your hand lead the whole of you to start to turn. Look, if you've got both hands on the table, it's okay, but just put the left hand just so that the hand itself is on the table, not the whole arm, just the left hand. And then you'll feel it's easier to feel the turning to the left as you slide the right hand forward. And then when you've got your elbow on the table, bend your right elbow and bring your right hand up and allow your hand and your face, the right side of your face, to come together. And now just let your head rest into the right hand. Can you move your head back and forth using your right hand to push gently on your head? So your right hand is holding your right cheek and your right jaw. Your thumb is behind the corner of your jaw, touching your neck. No, so look, one of you has got this wrong. So I'm just going to show it again. Just watch me. So look, it's that. And if I turn, there's my thumb around the back of my jaw. And I can rest my head into my hand. Let's see now if everyone's got that. I just want to see. Yeah. Okay, that's it. All right, so now please put your left hand in a push-up position on the edge of the table. And now if you lift that left elbow, it'll tip you to the right. And now lower your elbow. And that'll bring you back. So just play with lift your elbow, head tilts to the left, to the right, lower your elbow. That's it. Play with that movement a little bit. I'm going to just switch my video so that this way you'll all be seeing my hand in the same direction that you're in. There we go. Nice. Now let's go a little further. When you lift your elbow, can you lift your left hand away from the table and lift it into the air and see if you can see your hand? See how far over you lean and then bring your hand back down. Well, that was fun. Try it again. When your hand is back on the table, first let your elbow rest. Let your elbow come down. Let it come down, your left elbow. Okay, so you start the movement from your elbow lifting, and then you detach your hand and you can still see it. It's in front of you. Actually, take your arm a little bit in front of you and lift it. It'll be easier to see. But give the weight to your right hand. Give the weight of your head to your right hand. Good. And then bring it back. Oh, that was nice. All right, sit back. Feel what it's like to turn your head. Oh, and feel what it's like to go up and down. What happens in your pelvis and your spine? Can you use all of yourself? Now that was so much fun. I want to jump over straight away to the other side and do that. Are you ready? So left arm forward. Bring your face into your left arm. Put your right hand in a standing position. Lift that elbow first. Just feel, lift and lower the elbow. Feel how much your shoulder moves. That's your shoulder blade moving. And now, when you lift your elbow, with your elbow soft and your wrist soft, bring your arm in front of you and start lifting your arm. Feel the weight shift on your pelvis and keep looking at your hand as it's going up into the air. And then you bring it down. Then you do it from the rest position where the elbow is resting. You start the movement again. You lift from the elbow to the shoulder, and then you peel your wrist off the table. Your fingers are hanging, and they're going up in front of you. And you just look to where you see, and then you slowly let it float back down. Okay, and then sit back. And now take a good rest, whatever that is. You can sit back in your chair, you can go lie on the floor, you can put your head down on your hands, whatever is restful to you. I'm just thinking for the musicians, this would be a great lesson for anyone who plays instruments or uses their hands to cook a lot or knit. This is knitting season. I know some of you like to knit, but hey, feel your shoulders when when you're sitting, you'll feel it. Wow, because I'm doing this with you, I'm very happy with what I'm feeling. So come up to sitting and feel how you are arranged, your feet, your knees, your hips, your spine, your shoulders, your head. Where is your head relative to your spine and your pelvis? All right, now we are going to bring both hands, both elbows. So take your hands and slide them forward on the table until your elbows are just on the table, okay? Once you've got your elbows on the table, you float your hands upward and you turn them toward each other. And now you bring yourself to your hands. Now, if you feel like you're too rounded in your back, then you need something under your elbows. So Tina, if you need to add something under your elbows, you can. If you're happy, leave it as it is. If someone has discomfort in bringing one wrist together or the shoulder, you can put something between your wrists and put your head, just whatever you do. If it's too much tension on your wrist or your shoulder, you can always use padding, any kind of padding, a towel, anything. I was using a hat, just a folded up hat. Anything you've got will make it comfy. All right, so just be comfortable there and just notice how you're breathing. Your jaw is being supported by your hands. And now from there, just simply what we did a moment ago, I want you to just tilt your head to the right and look up to the left. But now you don't have a hand to look at. You're just looking up to the left and the weight's going into your right hand and your right elbow. And then come back. And then try it the other way. So you tip your head to the left, the weight goes into the left side. Maybe it's more comfortable, maybe it's less comfortable, and you look up to the right. You don't have to stay looking up. Now try to look down. See if you can look down at your right elbow and feel where the weight goes in your pelvis and what you do with your ribs, the right side compared to the left, and then look up again. The whole time your head is being carried by your hands. That's it. You keep looking down at your right elbow and then up into the sky. Feel the movement of your neck, feel the movement of your ribs, feel the movement of your spine, the weight shift in your sits bones, and then come back to the middle. And now slowly tip your head slowly to the right. And begin by looking up a little bit. Could be different. How you look up when you look up to the left. And then begin to look down at your left elbow or the table, anything that you can see. But let your right hand help the movement of your head. Your eyes are moving in an arc up and down. And now bring your head back to the middle. And now simply rock your head right and left using your hands. We're always using our head and neck muscles. Can you do the movement using your hands? And let your head be passive and soft, your jaw be soft, your tongue be soft, your eyes carried by your head. Oh, I see all sorts of things happening. Okay, here are some rules, a bit more on the rules thing. The heels of your hands are together. So your hands are doing this with your head inside of them. Can you do it quickly? Do you hear how your neck sounds? If you're hearing a lot of crunchy sounds, please go slower and go gently. All right, and now lift your head and just rest a moment. Before you rest completely, just sit for a moment and feel, put your hands on your lap and just sense how you're sitting. Try looking right and left. And try looking up and down. Ooh, how is that different? And now, do you remember the eavesdropping movement? Moving your ear right and left. Oh, I see some new movements coming. All right, take a rest. Take a rest, however you like to rest. Sit back in your chair, sit anywhere that you're comfortable. It can be quite a revelation to discover new freedom just by using a different part of yourself to activate something that is habitually working in its own way. Our head, because of the eyes and the ears and the nose, it can get very biased towards some preferences that are sometimes conscious, sometimes not conscious. But just to use your hands to create the movement of your skull on the top of your neck can be a great vacation for the muscles that usually move your skull on the top of your neck. Those muscles get to take a little break, and you're using some parts of your hands, which are so sensitive and delicate. They can thread a needle, they can knit, they can play instruments. Your hands are super, super refined in what they can do. And you're using them to move your head. And that's a really great finessing and a vacation for the muscles of your neck, actually. All right, so when you're ready, please come back to sitting. And just feel, when you're sitting, where are your feet? This is the thing that we always immediately want to do something habitual. We tuck them behind ourselves, or we bring them together, or we, and then we wonder why we have a sore back, because we're really just sitting on the pelvis. But your feet can be part of how you're sitting. And now, where is your head relative to your pelvis? And where is your spine between your head and your pelvis? All right, now bring your arms forward and return to the position. Heel of your hands together, face resting in your hands. All right, now I'm laughing because I can already imagine how funny this next movement's going to feel. So now can you bring your lips forward? How do you bring your lips, which are going to take your jaw, everything is going to come forward, and then bring them back? Oh, keep it gentle, because if you make this strong, you might jam the back of your neck. So I'm going to remind you, what does your pelvis do when you take your lips forward? And come back. And now take your lips forward and then move your lips to one side, as if they're going to kiss one hand, and feel how that shifts everything for you. And come back. And come back all the way back. Lower your chin and look at the floor while your hands are still there holding you. Tip your head a little right and left. And then bring yourself back to the front. Look at the front. And again, just take your lips directly forward. And then back. Feel, where does the tension build up when you take your lips forward? And then take them forward and go to the other side. And come back and do it again. Do it many times. And each time you do it, pay attention to more of yourself. Pay attention to what happens in your pelvis. Does your head shift off to one side? Do your eyes do something? Notice your breath. Is it in your belly, or are you holding your belly in? How is the weight shifting on your pelvis? Is this a movement only in your neck and your mouth and your jaw, or do you feel it throughout yourself? And then come back to the middle and take a brief rest, a pause. So just sit back, put your hands on the table, float your elbows up and down a little bit. So a little moment to reset. And now we're going to come back to that position, and you're going to move your lips once to the right, once to the left. Okay? And feel how it echoes through the rest of you. Go ahead. Put your hands again to support your chin. Move your lips forward, and then to one side and then to the other. You might find that one side's much easier than the other. It's like you want to kiss one hand and then you want to kiss the other hand. Make it easy. And now notice what you're doing with your eyes. Your eyes are going where your lips are going, probably. So now can you pause a minute. Now can you take your eyes and your lips in the opposite direction? And don't correct yourself too strongly. Just notice what you're doing. When you're in the middle, everything's in the middle. All right, good. Now pause. Now just take your jaw forward. And then come back. And now rock your head right and left using your hands. That's it. And then lift your head out of your hands and take another rest. Take a complete rest. Some of you here know this teacher I'm about to talk about who took this lesson and made a whole version based on waiting around at the airport for flights. So he's a Feldenkrais teacher and a wonderful teacher of mine and many of you. And sitting at airports, he traveled the world a lot once upon a time, not now. And so he would do this lesson. He would put his elbows on his knees and he would do a version of this lesson. And he decided to share it and he called it Home Alone, based on the Macaulay Culkin poster for the movie where he's a kid and the burglars get into his house. So I always remember it as Home Alone. But I went to the origin, the source of the lesson recently, because a colleague had taught this in sitting. And many of these variations with the lips were not in the original lesson, but I loved what she did with it. So I'm sharing that element, but I'm also giving you a different version to what she taught. But it's rich material. And so the next step is a great one to do if you're ever in a situation where you have to wait a long time for something and you want to put your hands in front of you, resting on your knees to rest your head on it. So again, please bring your elbows forward, bring the heels of your hands together, rest your head into your heel of your hands. Make sure the rest of you is comfortable. Can you breathe? Can you feel your belly moving? So we've done these lovely movements side to side and looking up and down. Now we're going to rotate your skull. So to begin with, feel which elbow is easier for you to lift. Can you lift your right one or your left one? Just find out which one's easier to lift. If they feel the same, then you're lucky. You can choose any side you want. But if one feels easier, that's the side you're going to lift first. So I'm not going to tell you which side to do, but begin by whichever side you're going to move. You've got to make it lighter first and then start to slide that elbow forward. And while it goes forward, your head is going to turn in an arc in the opposite direction to the elbow that's going forward. And then come back. And do it again and notice, how is it that you shift the weight off that elbow so you make it easier to move? And then how is it that you turn your head and look in the direction that your gaze is being taken in? So let me just say, I'm noticing some of you are lifting one elbow or the other. It's not so much lift the elbow, it's just slide one elbow. It's sliding forward and it makes you pivot, like your head is turning around the axis of your spine. And now come back to being in the middle and now switch. Now you're going to slide the other elbow forward. So just forward. Imagine your table had sand on it, or you were doing elbow painting. Imagine the shape that you're drawing. It's not a straight line. It could be, but let it be an arc. Let it be a curved line that your elbow goes forward and back. And you feel how you support yourself on the other side. And now come back to the middle. Now we're going to have a little fun. I hope it's fun. So since you did both sides, I'm going to invite you all to take your right elbow forward just an inch. And stop there. And now put the weight on your right elbow and take your left elbow forward just an inch. And now reverse. Bring your left elbow back a little bit. And then bring your right elbow back. So that was walking forward on your elbows, starting with the right. Now start with the left. So start the left, bring the left forward. Your face will look to the right. And then bring your right forward. It'll go a little ahead of the left. And now your face will be looking to the left. Feel what that does in your whole back. And then reverse and come back. First the right elbow a little bit, then the left elbow a little bit. And you can walk yourself all the way to the edge of the table. So can you now make several steps going forward gradually, one step after the other, and don't rush. Just see if you can walk your elbows forward across the table up into the place where you can't go further forward. But feel it not just in your head and neck, but your whole back. Because in a way, if your head is held, then the movements are coming from somewhere else, not so much your neck. Can you feel that? You're walking forward and walking backward, one and then the other. Your face is turning. Your face has to turn right and left as you, maybe it likes going one way more than the other. All right. When you come back to the middle, please let go and take a rest. However you need to rest, with your head on the table, with your back against something. And notice what you feel during your rest. How are you breathing now? You see, you can take any movement, and if you pay attention, you can improve something by having greater awareness of what it is that you're doing. So we've been playing with these movements of supporting the head with the hands, just changing things up a little bit. And now come back to sitting so that you're sitting with your feet planted neutrally, your head resting, and notice, where is your head now relative to your spine and to your pelvis? Does any part of you feel a little longer? Maybe your neck, maybe your lower back, maybe your legs, maybe your arms. Does anything feel a little different? Try looking a little right and left, and a little up and down. And sense, is there a difference in the ability for me to move my head through space? And then when you're at neutral, how is it to shift your head a little right, a little left? Are you discovering new movements in your neck that you didn't feel or sense earlier? Okay, now return again with the elbows on the table. And, let's explore, what place did you choose to put your elbows? So everyone's been working at a certain distance of their elbows, one elbow and the other. Bring your elbows closer together and see what that feels like. You may not get them together, but just feel it's a whole different opening of your back. Your shoulders go wide around your back, but you really don't have a great degree of freedom here. I mean, you have some freedom. Can you take your lips forward? Sure. Does it feel different in your neck when you do that? Now walk your elbows out so that they're at the same level as your shoulders. So your elbows are as wide as your shoulder joints are. Okay? It doesn't have to be accurate exactly, but just feel now. Do you feel you can move your head more freely now? You can look up and down more easily? All right, so earlier on, we were, sorry, I just have to, earlier on, we were doing lifting an arm. And so I want to suggest now that we go from lifting the arm to lifting an elbow. So a moment ago, we slid one elbow forward and then brought it back. So now simply take one elbow and lift it away from the table and lift it up into the air, but your hand is still holding. And then you lift as far as you want to, and then come back by the hand that you're resting in, pushing you back up to lower the elbow. And so you rest on both elbows for a moment. And now when you're ready, begin to do that to the other side. So first you have to shift all of your weight, your pelvis, everything. And then the elbow will get lighter. And then you begin to lift the elbow and lift it a little bit forward and up. So it's not just to the side. And see how far you can go to allow your head to be supported by the other hand. And then to come back, you lift. That's it. You lift the hand to bring you back. So now, can we now go? The difference here is that your elbows are wide. They're not close together. They're wide. So when you want to shift your weight, you really want to shift all the way over. And now when you lift your elbow, this time, lift it as high as is comfortable and then take it a little bit forward and a little bit backward. And you want to look at your elbow as it moves through space, forward and backward. Back and forth. That's it. And then bring yourself down. Oh, take a brief moment's rest from that. Notice how you're breathing. And when you're ready, we'll do the other side. So again, you only stay within what's comfortable to you. Don't push yourself to do more than you feel ready to do. So you come again, rest your head inside your hands, and now lift slowly the other side. Just find a height that feels good to you. Make sure you feel supported by the other hand, and then begin to move the arm, the elbow in an arc, forward, and then slowly backward. And feel, what do you do when you go backward with your pelvis? What do you do when you go forward with your pelvis? And then come back down. And now here in the middle, once again, just slide one hand forward, one elbow forward and back, and then slide the other one, and just see if that got a bit easier. Do you remember walking yourself forward with one elbow and then the other? See if you can walk yourself forward now more simply, and then walk yourself back. And then take one more rest. This is a pause rather than a long rest. Just notice your breathing, especially through your nose. Just rest with your hands on the table or on the lap, wherever you want to put them. And just feel, where is your head in space? How easily do you breathe into your nose now? You know, we have sinus cavities in our head and the back of our nose. And it's amazing when the neck and the skull have a better connection, a clearer connection, how the sinus cavities can even open, which is remarkable, just by releasing tension at the base of the neck. All right, how is listening right and left going? In some cultures, that's how they do their yes and no. Okay, are you ready to do one last little variation? So come back onto your position. And now simply slide both elbows a little bit back towards you and look down. They might go off the edge of the table, so just go to the edge of the table. And now slide your elbows forward, both of them, and see if you can lift them off the table without jamming the back of your neck, and then come back down and land slowly. And now draw them towards you. Let your neck lengthen, look down. Feel your back widen, and then slide your elbows forward again. And think of your whole spine all the way down to your sits bones so that you can lift your elbows from your back rather than from your neck. That's it. And then come back. All right. And then pause. Look down again. Look up again. Look right and left. Tip your head into one hand and the other. And then lower your hands. Leave them on the table for a minute. Sit back upright. Feel where your feet are. Sense your breath. Sense where your spine is relative to your pelvis and your head. Where do you feel longer? Where do you feel better connected? Sense the soles of your feet. Sense your knees, your hip joints. Remember taking your whole self forward and back. Is that any different now as you sway forward and back from the hip joints, from the pelvis? And then try looking right and left. And then let your jaw hang a little bit. Your tongue resting on the floor of your mouth. And notice your breath. Is there more movement in your belly now? Can you roll back a little bit on your sits bones and then roll forward a little bit on your sits bones and feel how that travels all the way up to your head? You could even make a little circle on your pelvis, on the sits bones, one way and then the other, and allow that to go all the way through you. And with that, I'll invite you to come to standing, take a brief walk. And if you can't stay to chat, I look forward to seeing you in the new year. I wish you all the very best for the holiday season. And I thank you for your time.